Okay,
Oh,
break's over.
I bet.
One more time. Your assignment is to come up, design a network. If you have to use your finger to draw on OneNote, that's fine. If you want to handwrite it out on a piece of paper, scan it, and place it in OneNote, that's fine too. If you want to use stick figures from Microsoft Draw, I don't care, but I want it in OneNote. That's how you're going to submit it. Design a net. If you want to use Visio, you can use Visio. Design network with at least two hosts on a private network, and that private network needs to connect one direction to the internet and another direction to a private router that connects to at least two other private networks. So similar to what I drew up here just a little bit ago. Okay? This is due Thursday morning by 8 o'clock a.m. That's your homework. Any questions about what you need to do? Raise your hand now, please. Or how you do it. So we need things like IP addresses, subnet masks. We need the default gateways. We're going to need at least one route statement on either the PC or an additional route statement on a router, which is a possibility too, so that that network will work. Okay? Yes, Austin?
I was thinking about this. Would it be simpler if we just use like a lot of network interface cards? Can we do that? Like you care, or is there like a
I do care. I want you to do what I just said.
Well, but I will, but I'm saying, is there a maximum of network interface cards for that?
I don't care
Okay.
how many interface cards you do. However, you need to focus on two network interface cards, and one of them being on one side of the PC that's going to the internet, and the other one being to the private router that's going to the private network. Everybody cool with this? Let's remember, somebody remind me what the IP rules. In fact, PC, printer, router, let's say another router. Give me the IP rules that would apply to this. Give me one, Austin.
The first two octets are both sides, or portion.
Huh?
The first two octets are both portion. So, which would be private.
Give me, you're way too specific. Give me a general IP address rule. Yes.
And then zeros.
None of your host IP addresses can end in zeros. Keep in mind, when we talk about host addresses, we're referring to this PC, this printer. This has a host IP address. This has a different host IP address. Johnny, you had your hand up.
They can't have two the same IP addresses.
They have to be different. This has to be different from this, which has to be different from this. They have to be unique IP addresses. What else? There's something else. What about each one of these? This interface, this IP address, and this IP address. Jason, yes? Yeah, they can't end in 255. Yep, that's another one. What else, Larry?
They have to be on the same network.
This has to be on the same network as this, has to be on the same network as this. What else? Yes, Austin?
They all have to have subnet mask.
Yes, that's going to define the network address. Absolutely. They all have to have subnet masks. Give me another one. Quinn. Kind of ran through them all. If this IP address is on the same network as this and this, what about this IP address? Quinn? It'll be different network than this one. Okay? This IP address needs to be on the same network as what? As the IP address of what in this drawing?
The other router.
This interface on this router. These need to be on the same network. Okay? The default gateway of this PC, given this drawing right now, is going to be what? Josh? look at the drawing, because that's the only way you can answer it. The default gateway of this PC has to be what? The IP address of this router. The default gateway of this router has to be what? Jessica? Can't hear you. The default gateway of this interface, this IP address on this interface, is going to be what?
Maybe the other.
It'd be the IP address of this. If this goes out to the internet, the default gateway of this IP address is going to be what? Jordan. If this is the internet on this interface of the router, this other interface, what's the default gateway of this IP address going to be? The next one over, it's going to be the IP address, the default gateway is going to be the IP address of this router. The IP address, or the default gateway of this IP address is going to be what, Brittany? The IP address of this interface. The IP address, or the gateway of this IP address is going to be what? Larry?
The internet.
Some router that the internet service provider, the IP address of the internet service provider. Okay? That is something that many, the default gateways of the routers is something many of you messed up. Okay? I accept, normally, I will accept if this is configured properly, this is configured properly, this is configured properly, I will normally accept a blank gateway for this, because what will happen is when you configure this router, it'll automatically plug in the IP address of this. For this exercise, don't leave it blank. Okay, for this exercise, do not leave it blank. I want the appropriate default gateways for every interface that's on here. Now, given this project, you're going to have to do a couple things. You can either do a route add for these PCs, or you can do a route add for this router. Okay? In this drawing, if you did it. Because, actually, this would be better if this went out to some other network. You know, you need to put the router here. This just went out to a switch, and this is a PC, this is a PC. Because now, if you add the route add statement to this router, pay attention. If you add the route add statement to this that says, let's see, say these are 172.16.0.1, 172.16.0.2, 172.16.0.3, that's this guy. You would add the route statement to this guy, to this router itself. Route add, if it's destined to the 172.16 network, send it out this interface. Actually, that isn't even necessary because it's going to know. What you need is a router in between these to actually make that happen. Because, right, you don't need a route add statement. If a packet is destined from here to the 172 network and it gets to this interface, no matter what, it's going to send it to the gateway. If it's destined to this interface, this router knows that it's already got an interface on the 172.16 network. So really, this interface would only need a default gateway, and that's it. What you really need to do to demonstrate what I'm asking in this is a network off this side. Another network, another private network off this side. Everybody understand what I just described? As you look, you got to get used to looking at the drawing. And then you take each one of those interfaces and say, okay, what if the packet is destined for this network? Is it going to know where to go? Is it destined for this network? Is it going to know where to go? This is real life, folks. This is real life. And I cannot tell you how many times I've gone into a network that they've configured, they're up against it, they don't understand it. We're able to fix it with a simple reconfiguration of either the router or a route add statement or whatever. Okay? Everybody understand? All right, shut that off, please.